Alright, so I decided to make this video to talk about how you can train yourself in different angles and go a little bit in depth to this. So the importance of angles is that the more versatile you become and the more angles that you operate from gives you that much more of an edge over the next man. In a sense to where, like, say there's someone who's only working on their technical skills. All they do is play basketball, or they're just in the gym all day. This could apply to any field. But as a basketball player, say this is all he does: gym, weight room, and he's not working on himself anywhere outside of this. This is someone who is exposed or who leaves himself vulnerable to many different factors that he wouldn't be able to control. Unlike the person who trained themselves in multiple angles. Say like they train themselves on the pool table to work on their focus or their aim, or they're reading a lot of books which help them develop critical thinking skills, or with paper and pencil as an artist. All these different types of things help you develop different skills, which you can then translate back to the basketball court or into any other field. This is why I believe it is very important for us to train ourselves in natural skills like these in order to get the full best version of ourselves. So what I'm saying is, you start yourself off maybe not knowing what you really want to do in life, but you play basketball and you work out. Say that's all you do. So this is your build. Your build is just a basketball player who happens to work out, and you really don't know too much about what it is you want to do in the future. So you play basketball and you work out, and I guess you're just pursuing basketball, maybe playing college ball, or or you may just not have too much of an interest of going to the NBA, but you just like playing basketball, so this is the direction that you go. But there comes a point in time where this type of training that you're doing has to extend to the mental training, becoming more educated on other things that you are curious about. This is how you grow and expand your training from being physical now to the mind. This is where we get more specific about what our dreams are or what our goals are. The more intelligent we become, the more specific we get in what it is that we want to do. So learning about your environment, or learning about your history, then learning about your culture, then learning about the history of your community. All this stuff put together is what then allows us to be able to make a more informed decision on what it is we want to do. It gives us more power to be able to make these informed decisions. Almost like knowing your enemy. The more you know about your enemy, the more concise decisions you can make. So this is the importance of knowledge and becoming more educated. The more educated you become, the more power you hold to make concrete, informed decisions that you know will affect whatever it is you're trying to affect. And with any chess battle, there's always pieces. And in this case, these pieces would be our environment, the history of the environment, our culture, the history of our culture, and ourselves, our natural skills and our natural talents. Now we can make informed decisions once we get to know all these pieces. So on the environmental side, what is capitalism? And what is the culture of the environment in which we live in? Which should be easy questions to answer, because that's the environment you're living in. You experience racism, we experience exploitation, and when we become more educated in our economics, we understand how bad we're being exploited and how racist the system is, which will then lead us to want to know more about our history of the system, and history of ourselves. What is the psychology behind the system? What is it trying to influence? These are the questions we begin to start to crave. And through this journey of educating, we build the skills of a critical thinking, and we become more strategic and more analytical in the way we process information. Through this is how we then seek knowledge of ourselves and knowledge of our culture and the history of our culture. By understanding this, we then know ourselves enough to know how to train ourselves in the best way that we can. And the more in depth we go into the information or the specifics about these topics, the more clear our vision becomes in what it is that we want to do, or the strategic method we want to use. So this is the importance or topic of this video. In order to extend our training beyond the basketball court and onto the mind, we have to be able to train ourselves differently and understand how to train ourselves differently, especially when we're talking about the mind. We have to see where our emotion is at in contrast to where our logic is, because our emotion influences our logic and vice versa. So how are we training ourselves? There's two different types of mental training, just like there's different types of body training. There's training your mind to expand on information, And then there's training your mind to focus on in-depth skills. And of course, when we're expanding our minds, this is catering to our curiosity. We're acquiring information that we're curious about. And this is what leads us to gaining the knowledge we need to further continue our purpose. The more we gain knowledge on things, the more specific we become about what it is that we want to do or our vision. So it's important that we build and strengthen our minds in the way that we want it to be strengthened and built. But at the same time, we have to build our mind in technique and attributes like critical thinking skills or our aim or depth perception and our focus. Things like these are mental skills that can be developed as well. There's a number of ways where you can develop these type of mental skills. Most people don't take the time to actually train these skills. So these skills is what gives you an edge over the next man in whatever field that you get into. Writing will improve your ability to articulate yourself. Playing golf and pool is what will build your aim and focus. Drawing and creating art also is what will help you learn concepts and give you the eye of creation and understanding the process of creation. All these different things are just different ways where you can train that side of the mind that people really don't take the time to train or cater to. Just because the mind is something you can't see, it doesn't mean that you should be spending any less time training it just as you do your body. So in the next video, we're going to discuss how to balance your emotion with your logic. Because many of us as Africans, we have so many things that have been done to us and we don't properly cater to our emotion or repair our emotions, so we can't logically make proper decisions. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace, y'all.